6.3 million years ago. There were no cities, no language, no fire. The world was wild, untouched, and brutal. There were no humans. Not yet. But deep in the heart of ancient Africa, something was changing, slowly, quietly. In the tall grass and scattered forests, a creature walked maybe just a few steps on two legs instead of four. It didn't know it, but that small act would echo across millions of years. This was a time before history, before memory, before anything we would call human. But in this forgotten chapter of Earth's story, the first pages of our own were being written. This is the world as it was when the human story was just beginning. 6.3 million years ago, Earth looked familiar, but only from space. Up close, it was a different planet. The continents were still shifting, mountains were rising, seas were pulling back, forests were shrinking, grasslands were beginning to spread across Africa. The climate was unstable. Rain came and went in long cycles. What was once lush could turn dry in just a few thousand years. Africa, the cradle of our beginnings, was changing fast. Forests broke apart into scattered woodlands. Open spaces appeared between the trees. For the creatures living there, this meant one thing: adapt or disappear. Life was raw and relentless. Giant predators ruled the land. Survival depended on speed, instinct, and luck. In this harsh and beautiful world, our earliest ancestors began their journey not with tools or fire, but with tiny changes and the will to endure. In the heart of ancient Africa, among predators and prey, a new kind of creature began to appear. It wasn't strong, it wasn't fast, but it was different. Scientists call it Sahelanthropus chadensis, of the earliest known members of the human family. It stood no taller than a chimpanzee, with a small brain and a heavy brow, but there was something strange about its skull. The hole where the spine connects was positioned lower, suggesting it may have walked upright at least part of the time. There was a small shift, a few steps on two legs, but it changed everything. Walking upright meant seeing farther, using hands for more than climbing, moving across open land more efficiently. In a world that was drying and changing, those steps mattered. This wasn't a human, not yet, but it was a beginning. The path was opening and we were slowly stepping onto it. Those first upright steps led into a world that did not forgive weakness. Life on the ancient savanna was dangerous. Every day was a battle just to survive. Massive saber-toothed cats prowled the grasslands. Giant crocodiles waited near rivers. Vultures circled above, watching for the next kill. For early hominins, there were no weapons, no shelter, no fire, just fragile bodies and sharp instincts. They ate what they could: roots, fruits, leaves, maybe even the leftovers from predator kills. Their diet wasn't fancy, it was whatever kept them alive. Being upright helped them spot danger. It helped them move through tall grass. It freed their hands to carry food, hold babies, or throw a rock if needed. But still, they were hunted, they were small, and they were always on the edge of extinction. Yet they adapted, slowly, quietly. Generation after generation, they learned how to survive a little better. Not through strength, but through change.
This is how evolution works, not in sudden leaps, but in small victories won over millions of years.
Sorry for the interruption. If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Those small victories began to add up, one tiny change at a time, one generation at a time. Evolution doesn't rush. It doesn't care. It simply moves slow, steady, and relentless. Over thousands of lifetimes, bodies began to shift. Legs grew stronger, spines straightened, feet flattened, arms changed. Bipedalers walking fully upright was no longer just a rare skill. It became the new normal, and it mattered. Walking on two legs used less energy. It allowed our ancestors to travel farther, to explore, to adapt to new environments. It also changed the way they saw the world literally. Standing tall gave them a wider view of danger and of opportunity. These early hominins didn't know they were changing. They didn't know they were walking towards something greater. But nature was quietly shaping them. No tools, no language, just survival. But in their bones, evolution was rewriting the future.
The human story hadn't begun yet, but its foundation was being carved in flesh and time.
For millions of years, these ancient beings lived and died without a trace.
No stories, no names, no monuments. Just bones, slowly buried by time. But bones remember what minds forget, and in dry riverbeds, cracked desert floors, and layers of ancient earth, pieces of our past began to emerge. In 2001, deep in the deserts of Chad, a skull was found. Crushed, weathered, incomplete, but powerful. It belonged to Sahelanthropus tudensis, a creature that lived 6 to 7 million years ago. This fossil became one of our earliest clues. It whispered something astonishing that even back then, something had begun to change. The angle of the skull, the position of the spine, the shape of the teeth, each detail told a story of transition from ape-like ancestors to something just a little different. Other fossils followed: leg bones, jaw fragments, teeth, scattered across Africa, separated by thousands of miles and millions of years. Each discovery is like a puzzle piece with no clear picture, but when scientists place them together, patterns begin to form. See the curve of a spine built for walking, the wear on teeth from a changing diet, the shape of a foot that no longer gripped tree branches. These bones don't speak, but they don't need to. They show us who we were long before we had voices. They reveal a truth that humbles us, that we are not the first, but the latest in a long line of survivors. Many species came before us. Some were close to humans, some were not. All of them lived, adapted, struggled, and vanished. And yet, through all of that time, something persisted, a thread connecting every ancestor to us. The fossils may be broken, but the story they tell is whole, a story of transformation, written in silence and carved in bone. For a long time, we thought human evolution was a straight line, one species turning into another step by step until we arrived. But that idea is wrong. The truth is far more complex and far more fascinating. We were never alone. For millions of years, multiple human-like species shared the Earth, not just ancestors, but cousins, close relatives shaped by the same forces of evolution living at the same time. Some were tall, some small, some were built for forests, others for grasslands, some used tools, some didn't. All were experimenting with survival. While one species disappeared, another thrived, then it too vanished. We weren't the chosen ones from the start, we were just one branch on a tangled tree, sometimes lucky, sometimes vulnerable, always adapting. There was Australopithecus, walking upright with long arms for climbing, Paranthropus, with jaws built for chewing tough roots, and much later, Homo habilis, who may have been the first to use tools. At times, 3 or 4 hominin species existed side by side, evolving in different directions shaped by different challenges. Why did some survive while others died out? We don't know for sure. It wasn't always about intelligence or strength, sometimes it was about timing, climate, resources, chance. We are the only hominins left, but we are not the only ones who ever walked this earth. We are the result of a chaotic, beautiful, and brutal process, a web of evolution, not a ladder. And every other species that came before us helped carve the path we walk today. They didn't have fire, they didn't build tools, they couldn't speak, they didn't even know what they were becoming. Yet something was different. Deep inside their brains, smaller than ours, but slowly changing, there was the start of something new. A different kind of awareness, a flicker of curiosity, a pause before acting, a choice rather than just instinct. Maybe it was in the way they watched their surroundings, the way they cared for their young, the way they moved as a group, learning from one another. They still lived like animals, but something inside them was no longer just animal. Evolution doesn't just shape bodies, it shapes behavior, thought, possibility. In these ancient hominins, the seed of humanity had been planted. It hadn't sprouted yet, but it was there, silent, waiting. The brain over time would grow, the hands would learn to shape, the eyes would look forward not just to see, but to imagine. No one knew it, not even them, but the creatures walking the savannah were carrying the future in their bones. They weren't just surviving, they were becoming. The tools would come, fire would come, language would come, but first, evolution had to prepare the mind. That journey had only just begun. From those first tentative steps on 2 legs, a journey unfolded, one that would last millions of years. A journey marked by change, struggle, and endless adaptation. From Sahelanthropus to Australopithecus, from Homo habilis to Homo erectus, and finally to us Homo sapiens. Each species a chapter, each generation a new line in the story. The path was never straight. It twisted and turned with climate shifts, migrations, and unexpected challenges. Some branches of our family tree ended abruptly, others blossomed. What started as a small shift in posture became the foundation for tools, for fire, for language, and for culture. It took patience, a patience measured in millions of years. And yet, here we are, standing on the shoulders of countless ancestors who faced a harsh world and kept moving forward. This long journey was never just about survival. It was about becoming more, becoming human. And every moment of that journey, every small change lives inside you. Look inside yourself, feel the pulse of a story millions of years old. You are not just a person, you are the living result of 6.3 million years of survival, change, and hope. You carry the courage of ancestors who walked unknown lands. You carry the resilience of beings who face danger every day and still chose to move forward.
You carry the spark of curiosity that first flickered in a creature walking upright on the African savanna. This story is not just history, it's your inheritance. The story of life 6.3 million years ago is more than a distant past. It's the foundation of everything you are, everything you will become. You are the voice of the silent, the footsteps of the forgotten, and the future of all that came before. And it all began with a single step. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to subscribe and join us as we explore more incredible stories from our past and the mysteries that still shape our future. Hit the subscribe button and be part of the story.